Hi everyone, this is Tanya, the Lady Strange. If you're new here, welcome. You're returning, welcome. Either way, thank you. I'm in my living room because my altar room, temple room, work room, and all of the above is freezing. Um, so yes, it's one of the coldest parts in the house. I do not feel like messing around with it. If you hear the heater in the background, the heater, big heater, upper grate is not far from here, so I don't use a microphone, I don't edit. My cats come around. This is take two due to iPhone storage. Yeah, gotta love that. But let's see how this goes. Plus, that one got rather rambly. So this is my take and some of my favorite top decks of 2025. This is not no tag or anything to that. This is just how Tanya rolls and Tanya stays strange. Because that is, after all, how one's magical and spiritual path should be real, realistic, individualistic, have autonomy, what works, what can fit their budget, what fits their time, and most of all, what speaks to their soul, their magical, spiritual, and artistic things, and their aestheticism, and just what they find the most enlightenment and connection and guidance from. As part of one of their magical tools, I use my decks for not exactly divination. I don't find them necessarily predictive. They can be and have been, but they are more energetic for me. They're also clarifiers to life experiences, the guidance to clarify and give me the assisting message, whether it's in the day-to-day experience more often or the magical or ritual, or use them in ritual. I use them for psychological purposes. So they are multifaceted tools. They have a lot of meanings. They are a staple in my practice. Now, I have many decks. I'm just showing some of them for the thing of time, and that there's others I could show and do have much value and have been used this year. These are just some that I kind of did. If you're a collector like I am, I don't have a huge collection, but fairly extensive, 150, I think, or so, give or take, of various decks. Many I use, some I do not. They're just there for novelty, etc., or collectors. But either way, they are part of my collection. I'm proud of it and what I work with, and that I have the ability to do so. But these are some decks I could probably not live without. So with that being said, I am darker inclined. Well, I am a left-hand path practitioner. So that means Crowley, my cat Crowley, is playing with the camera here, sorry, or the phone, and thinks that you may see his face. He's a big black cat. On that, Crowley, be good. So let's hope this one goes smoother. They really don't have patience with. So because I almost was going to film, but I have issues with imposter syndrome, but I've been getting better and working on it. Knowing is half the battle, right? And acknowledging. So, but it's not a video about that. So these are, like I said, I'm darker inclined, I'm left-hand path. So that means, in my thing is that I'm doing my best to hold accountability for myself. I don't need to look for something outside of myself. First, it's me, myself, my womanhood, my experience, my knowledge, my heart, my soul, my magic. I work and walk my deities. I don't bow to anything, but I'm respectful and reverent and grateful. I'm grateful for the great people I've had in my life, whether I still have a relationship there or not, either by choice or not, because we've all taught each other many things, and can learn from those experiences and integrate those. And that's what part of life is, and being a better human and person is, and a better magician, an occultist, much like myself is. I'm in love with the esoteric and the occult and magic. It is my anchor in this life and my womanhood. It is part of my everything. It is who I am. Does it define all of me? No, but it is. So some of these decks are, like I said, a bit darker. I'm a left-hand practitioner, hand practitioner. Can't talk. Yes, I already lost my train of thought. But yes. So with that being said, let's get on with the cards. These are the decks and the cards, should I say. These are primarily oracle decks, surprisingly enough. But I do have some tarot I pulled out for various reasons, and some tarot I just didn't, but I have used them. doesn't mean I don't have any value, and they did have a place in my practice and still do. And 2026 is right on the brink. We're right on the cusp of that. So first deck I am doing this for showing or discussing is the Sabbath Project. This Sabbath deck by Sabbath Project. If I could talk and keep a straight thought, that would be great, but yeah. This is videotape 2, and I already made it because iPhone storage into almost 40 minutes. So yeah, here's losing steam. So this deck is a deck by the Sabbath Project, a Sabbath Tarot. It is nudity. The whole deck is nudity with primarily male presenting nudity. Very good looking men, we'll put it this way. But if you're not into that, and that's not your cup of tea or glass of wine, so be it, and that's fine. I do not find nothing wrong with nudity, especially if it's artful. Porn's different, but I don't even look my nose on it. That has its time and its place. Let's put it that way. So, basically, this deck, though, to me, is very left-hand path magic. It's a lot of autonomy, a lot of vulnerability, a lot of raw power. That will, that flame, do what thou shall wilt, be the whole of the law. Like Lester Crowley, like my cat's named after. The one that's not the camera. So this deck is beautiful. So Alan Spears and his partner Jeff Cullen did this. I also have a deck by them, the Ruin deck that was gifted to me. I have not used that deck, but I'm sure she will find her time and place in my practice as many things do become evident. Look at this deck. This deck has probably, other than the Nameless one, my favorite cardstock of all time. I don't know what it is, but it's got that rose petally finish. It's beautiful. This deck, this version is the larger size. I have the poker size. If you check back, I believe March or April of 2024, I actually have a full racy review of it. But hey, if you're interested and up for it, you can check that out. There's a playlist with those on it. This is sumptuous. It feels great in the hands. And I got this big one this year. As I said, I previously had the poker one. I've been working with this one because the images are larger. You can see more clarity, and it's not just the nudity. I'm talking the whole image, the whole piece of the puzzle, the equation, the occult images, the references, the things that you don't see when you first glance or even a second glance, but are part of it. That's part of the magic of art and tarot. And look at that pentagram, of course. Look at that red edging. So I chose some of the ones on here that are just some that are less racy than others. Well, let's get on with it. So not all the whole deck. And this version comes with a great guidebook. A great thick guidebook. The poker size did too. I think the poker size is out of print. I think the larger might be too. But I don't know. You can always check their site. Here's one of my favorite star cards. Hopefully this translates well. I'm going to try to be faster with this. Try to beat my camera this time. Here's my favorite death card. I mean, look at that death card. That's my favorite death card, I think, of all time. I mean, look at her. It reminds me of Persephone, dark Persephone. I don't work much with her Persephone. I do feel her presence. I work with her husband, Hades, on a very detailed level, and I'm in the process currently of learning and developing a more deeper, meaningful relationship of walking and working with him. But he is so different than the stereotypes, but he is quite interesting to work with and quite profound, but a great guide and teacher and ally. I'm certainly happy to have that. That reminds me of Queen Persephone in her dark phase. Beautiful, strong, feminine, a guide on the river Styx, one who is there as a female and nurturing aspect to show you to your next phase, much as I do work with death energy. This one is Lady of Staffs, which is wands in most decks. Look at that. That is just gorgeous and lustful. Plus it's got skulls on it, as you'll see most of my decks do. Kind of flip through a couple for example. I mean, the way the light even comes out with those torches on there, you can see the path is illuminated. The path, the journey, illumination, enlightenment. Much so is that, as you can see. Doesn't help to have pleasant images to look at too. It's part of the message, huh? The hand of glory. I call that one. But I do like that. That's one of my favorite Ace of Wands representations. I love that image. Here's one of my favorite, I think this is my favorite Queen of Swords of all time. I do identify as an archetype and as the Queen of Swords. And when others read for me, it also comes up as that as an archetype or a representation of me. This has got to be my favorite Queen of Blades or Queen of Swords. Look at that. Pulling from enlightenment and logic, but also knowing enough to pull from the supernatural, but using that discernment and that blade of truth. Much like Lady Justice, that could be. I love that card. As you can see, a lot of back end. So yes, that's a Sabbath Tarot by Sabbath Tarot by the Sabbath Project by Alan Spears and Jeff Cullen. Amazing deck. High quality. This is a staple in my collection. I would not part with it. If I had to choose out of a certain number of decks to keep, or only had the space for, the opportunity for, or something happened, that's one I would never part with, and one that I would take without question. It works for my magical path, my ritual path, but also divination and spiritual connection and channeling and clarification. So next I am going to do this actual, since there's more oracle, I'm going to do this one. This one's familiar. That one's less familiar. That's why I started off with it. I don't see as much from probably many reasons on that. This is, you're probably familiar, These Blue Bones Oracle by Rose Bay. Rose Bay also has for another oracle, and she has, which I do not have, and the Lacrimosa Tarot. Lacrimosa Tarot is beautiful. I have worked with her sometimes more, lessons I've gotten it, but she's nice, but she speaks to me in different ways. So I have a varied relationship. I'm sure over time that one will present itself. This one, however, is a beautiful, that last one's an indie deck. This is an indie deck. This one's quite the investment, as was that one, worth every penny. This is about 105 cards. So worth every penny. This deck is, I call her affectionately my Moody Blues Night in White Sad, and the band Moody Blues, that is, but she is Moody Blues. She's wistful. She's whispering. She's that deep, dark subconscious that you feel, that feeling of longing and desire, of memories, but of strength and connection, what you do not have but you want to have, what you're trying to achieve, reflection. This is a reflection of my soul. I am a Capricorn. My birthday's coming up in a couple weeks. I will be 47. So getting close to 50. But this basically here, the collage work in this and the keywords in this cause one to question, to think, to be like that Queen of Swords, but to be intuitive like the High Priestess. That's what this deck marries with. And it's gorgeous and lustful and well made. I do wish the cardstock was slightly thicker, but I love it. The keywords, otherwise I would not change anything with this. This deck is coming with me like the Sabbath. She works well with others. She speaks of my soul. She's a great clarifier. She helps me to see things that I'm not looking at objectively or willfully ignoring, or maybe just a different angle and perception, or to help me acknowledge my feelings. Maybe what am I feeling, but I can't quite put my finger on, type of thing. To clarify the message I already have. wisdom. It's like that sort of crone energy in there, a beautiful crone, that is. One that's experienced a lot, well-traveled, and well-cultured. That's what this deck feels like. But she also feels like home. She feels like a part of my soul, and I know is a part of my soul. So again, I'm only showing a couple of this because there's so many great videos out there and walkthroughs, including from Rose Bay herself. So yes, this deck is everything. It strikes a chord in me that is so hard to explain and acknowledge. And I think that's one of the basic things on that. And with the deck, when it's a pleasure, she's meant to invoke and evoke so much. In the bones and the blues, as I said. If I could get her in her box, maybe that's the other thing I would change. I do not like the box, so I gotta find another home for her. Eventually. Soon enough. Okay, let's go with this tarot. We'll go, since I don't have many tarot, let's go through this. This is the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. I'm going to go fast through this one. A lot of people have this. This is the most recent incarnation of this deck. Look at this. By Baba Studios. Look at that box it comes in. Worth the investment. As is the deck. My only complaints, honestly, is the cardstock. I don't like it so much. I'm not a riffle shuffler. I have a pet peeve of that. We all have pet peeves. But I still don't like the cardstock as much. And the cold stamping, as pretty as it is and very beneficial in certain light, I could definitely do without it. And I know some of the older versions do not have it, but I am happy to have this deck. The reason I have this is I do use it for myself and have used it for myself of 2025, but this one has become used more so for reading for others. When I have gone to events this year to read for others, or I read for family members I've never read for with, or shared my gift or my guidance with, or presence in a hard time of grief, to give them a bit more understanding, clarity, presence, and also make myself vulnerable by sharing my gift, because I'm often judged for being me. And it's also not just reality, but it's also a lot to do with my perception and imposter syndrome. But it's how I grew up. So I like this. I did see original videos of the previous older versions and incarnations. Those I do like the backings more. But this deck is chatty for others. She really likes to tell and get to the whispering root subconscious causes of things and situations. A whisper, hey, pay attention to me. Like the Rasputina song, I've got a secret message. Yeah, but basically I can't sing. But she tells of things on there because of it's Rider-Waite Smith, so it's very easy to read and intuitive, even if you're not a seasoned reader. But the artwork, I love the Victorian artwork, the pictures, the manipulation. It was very thoughtful. There's so much symmetry and symbology in this deck. But she speaks so much for others, and often kind of brings out points that need to be pointed out and others that I read for to discern. She has that type of voice, like you start telling like a therapist or a friend, or maybe someone you start feeling somehow strangely comfortable with. You start telling and bearing your story or your secrets with. Not purposely or to be over pushing, but just because it feels right. That's what this deck has to do. She's good at getting to a seed of things, but she's also kind of sneaky and dark and esoteric, and feels to me like the gorgeous parts of the underworld, and of lands I've never met to, and realms I've never went to, or times I may have lived in the past in reality. Who knows with incarnations? So yeah, so that is the Bohemian Gothic Tarot by Baba Studios. I am thankful to have her, and she's one of my top 2025 decks because she stepped forth in choices and messages for reading primarily for others and meeting and traveling to many things and making that process much better to connect with. And there's 3 decks. Let's see here. Let's go with this deck here next. Let's go to Purgatorium Hex and move along. Now there is a video with this deck also on one of my playlists of first impressions. This deck is out of print. I have been asked if I was willing to sell or part with this deck multiple times. The answer is no. This deck is by Mr. Freiburg, or Freeborg. If I said that incorrectly, I apologize. I have his Taroki deck, and I do not have Cyrena yet, but I'm thinking of get her. She's been on my radar. Check out his Instagram if you have not. He's got a great sense of humor. He's very entertaining. He's very creative. This deck is gorgeous oracle deck. Got a great number of cards. The guidebook is phenomenal. It was well done. This deck was well thought out. She has quite the personality. She is lustful. She is cheeky. She's unapologetic. She's sarcastic and snarky, but she's also kind of brings joy and pleasure. She brings in, because it's got devils, demons, sometimes things with religions, iconography, or I can't talk, whatever, religious themes on it, which can be disturbing, but it makes a parody of it. It kind of brings light to the heaviness. We all kind of need that in different perspectives of different things on that. World's getting too uptight in certain things, and with correctness. Well, yeah, whatever. Go fuck that, right? There goes my swear. So here's some of the cards on this. This deck is cherished. She works well with others. She brings in different perspectives. I love the keywords. I love the guidebook. I work together and separately. She works with many of my infernal decks. She works for me personally. I have done it for readings. She's also my Salem deck. I bring her to Salem since I've had her with me when I go on my trips. She works great with the Somnia Tarot. Those both I call my kind of Salem decks because of the themes, the energy, the messages, and what they imbue and what they invoke. Gives a lot of food for thought, as they say. It's all black and white. This deck, that image probably is not the best one to show. Neither is that one. But I'll show this one, for example. I do have a whole thing about this deck, and yes, she is definitely a great deck to work with if you are on. I also do recommend if you're on the left-hand path like myself, an occultist, definitely one if you can find it. It's worth the investment. It can work in many aspects, works well with other decks. It can be a bit disturbing and confronting, but that's what shadow work is, but that's what life is in day-to-day experience. So with that being said, there's a few of that deck. This deck will always go with me too, just like the others. So you're noticing a theme there, right? So yeah. But yes, darker inclined, but there takes a certain amount of darkness to be able to hold and project and emit light and to be in a fully integrated version of yourself as a person, a human, and a magician. And just in the experience of life, recognizing yourself and truly knowing thyself. It's also part of knowing thy power. So let's see. So that's a couple of the decks so far. Let me now get this one out. Look at this lovely bag that was made specifically for the deck with the skulls. This deck, this was by my late mother-in-law, who made this deck for me, or made this deck pouch for me with the Velcro. She made this specifically for me and found that. And she was 91 when she did it. 91 or 92 when she made that. She just passed away in October. Bless her soul. She was an amazing woman. in so many levels, and I do miss her already. But one of the benefits of working with spirits is I feel her presence to connect with her. And of course, I have lovely mementos like that, which are great. So the deck that bag and deck was for, thank you for bearing with me. Tarot of Vampires by Ian Daniels. Again, you watch Tarot Tube. I'm sure if you're watching this, you may have watched, at least that's not your first rodeo with these kind of videos. This deck, now, Ian Daniels with the guidebook. It's one of the best fucking guidebooks I've ever seen, or that most of us have ever seen or encountered. On the esoteric and occult level, and talking about the trio of life and the magic and occult of the deck, but the meat and bones of the tarot, that of not just that type of aspects, but also of divination and analysis and symbology. Everything is symbology. When I first got this deck, the hype on it, I got it from Racine's Amun, I believe 513 is her channel name. As I've gotten many inspirations and followed her advice with many decks that have worked for me. But it didn't connect with me so much I had it in my hands. Not up until the recent past couple months of 2025, it stepped forth for me in a big way, hence one of my top decks of 2025. I etched mine in red. So yeah, first deck I ever etched successfully on my own. Now this deck on here, I was a 90s teen, I was a teen in the 90s, but so the imagery's great, but it's connected with me on so many more levels. I'm learning so much, and I hope in 2026 that I know my relationship with this deck will continue to grow, because Willa speaks through this deck with me, but this deck works with many of my other decks, including Tarot and Oracle. I work with it separately and in conjunction with the guidebook and other decks, Oracle, and even other tarot she pairs nicely for. She is Thoth-based, which Thoth system is my favorite. So yes. But there's many of this, I believe it's out of print, but from what I hear, it comes in and out of print all the time. So if you can catch it when it does, and you don't have it, even just for the guidebook will not just apply to the deck, but apply overall, and can be as an overlay to all the other tarot and some esoteric and occult knowledge. So this deck is amazing, and it was mass market. Last one obviously was in an indie deck. I love my indie decks. But this one, Willa speaks through. This one speaks of raw power, energy. It's a very fiery deck. Very transmutation and transformative deck, and very alchemical. But very fun and sometimes cheeky because of the artwork. Just like Purgatorium Hex. Okay, let's see here. We're a couple more. We're trying to move along here. Okay. Shadow in Darkness is the next one. I have this on a review and kind of walkthrough impressions of this in my playlist of 31 Days of Strange from 2024. You can check out in further detail. This deck is by Syrian Shadows. It's an Oracle deck. This is the indie version. There is a mass market version that just came out in I think the past 2 months. I don't have it. I'm in love with this one. I bonded. Maybe someday I'll consider it. But for purposes, look at this gilding. I love it. Look at the skulls on it. I love it. I call this affectionately my Slayer deck, like the band Slayer. I am a metal and rock fan first and foremost, and always will be. This reminds me of Seasons in the Abyss album. The cover of their song, the cover that they did of Inagada Davida by Iron Butterfly. A beautiful, fun rendition of it. But that of 80s metal covers of that time and thrash. Now, this artwork may not be anyone's cup of tea. I don't use this just as shadow work. This works well as a clarifier, works good for the deities, entities that channel with, appears well with many decks, whether they're lighthearted or dark or both. It's the message. The guidebook is amazing. I usually just use the blurb at the bottom, which is repeated in the guidebook. This deck is well made and amazing. Syrian Shadows has got to be my favorite Oracle deck creator, just saying. Obviously 3 on this list are most used, most traffic decks that I've used and get the most versatility or bang for the buck, as they say. But this is Tanya's type of artwork and style. You see it if you've seen any of my previous videos. She's even made an appearance here or there. This one is, as has these blue bones. And Purgatorium Hex, if you watch any of my different ones throughout the year, you will see that those ones have too. So again, this is Shadow of Darkness, the indie version by Syrian Shadows. So an amazing deck to work with, amazing keywords, amazing guidebook, and I use it for myself personally, but have used it in readings. It works well. And let's see here. Trying to get this a little faster. We'll go with another Syrian Shadows one. This one's Mass Market. I missed the bus and found out about this deck specifically in the indie meaning one after it was no longer available. I can't find it. I want it. So if anyone on here that does, as a tarot collector, has the 411 out to point me how I can get it or want to part with it, and you happen to see this or come across this video, let me know. I'm willing to pay for it. But I am happy to have this. This is one of my most used decks, not only for myself in my daily practices, my rituals, my daily ritual practices, my overall ritual practices, my divination, my guides, my channeling, my energy, and just something that makes me smile that has different elements to it is also great clarifier for tarot and reads well with many decks, almost any deck, and with others. The quality is great on it. The artwork is great. The keywords are great. And it's got a great guidebook. Do I use the guidebook as much? No, unless I really feel inclined to. There's much more of depth on the keywords that you can work with. There's 3 keywords, and there's the images themselves and the title at the top. This one's probably just like Shadow of Darkness. Well, I should say these 3 oracles got the most use out of 2025 out of all decks, I have to say. And I'm talking about use, versatility, the magic they create, how much I've learned from them, how much they've shaped my practice, my aesthetics, that I find lustful, what they teach me, how they speak to my feelings and make me think. She likes to work with others, read for other people, adaptable. Sort of happy-go-lucky with that darker edge to her. Kind of like I can be at times. So that is the Earth and Bone Mass Oracle by Syrian Shadows, mass-produced, a beautiful deck. And a staple in my collection, as all those are. I'm not going to part with any of those. I'm down to the last 3. So I'm going to do the tarot, and then I will have the last 2 oracles. Here is my first tarot, my one and only. She is, I do have other versions of her. I have a mass market one, well, a newer mass market that I trimmed down. And etched, I have I think 1986 or 1987 Source AGM one that she gave to me. Or that she gave to me, that was given to me as a generous gift. But this one I've had since, I believe, 1997, 1998 time frame. So yes, since I was 18. This was the first deck I purchased and still my love. She's been with me to many places, read for many people, met many people. She's been used in all sorts of altars, magic practices, relevance. This deck is pure beauty, pure magic, pure occult. Nothing to be taken lightly with. Lady Freda Harris and Aleister Crowley did such a beautiful job with this deck. This deck is my soul. This is my magic. This is the one deck, if I ever had to, because of the magic, the sigils, the magic, the messages, the keywords I could use as oracles, all that, one deck would be this. I rebuilt a new relationship with her in the past couple months. She went into retirement or in a sabbatical, so to say, for quite a while, for like a year and such. I used the other ones a bit more, but not as much. This one stepped forth. This one works well with the Goetia deck that I'm working with by Fabio Lasciani. And that practice for like this Drop 'em 78, which I'm doing with my cousin. However, we're not doing it exactly the way. We altered it to our own. That's how magical practice should be. Integrating and taking different elements. There's nothing wrong with that one. It's one's respectful. So you'll recognize this Soul's deck. She's a bit worn, tattered, has battle scars like me. She has different imprints on her, energies, knowledge. But look at this. This is pure magic to me. This is my heart and soul. This is the deck. This is the deck that popped my tarot cherry, my occult cherry, my divination practice, my spiritual practice, helped me to unlock my practice and my gifts and abilities, continues to teach me, challenge me, and how it relates in different situations and perspectives and interacts with others. This is a timeless deck. There's something about it so much that was channeled and created, and the hard work and how much blood, sweat, and tears and creativity she really had to dredge up with his demands. But boy, as awful as that person, that man was, he contributed so much to the occult world and the knowledge and how our foundations are here in the Western religion. And with this, yeah, this was everything this deck is. This is power, this is truth, this is lust, this is knowledge, this is the forbidden, the occult, this is the accessible doors and keys, the certainty, uncertainty, the unknown, the soul, and the heart of magic. This is what magic and being a practitioner is. So we'll end with the Nine of Cups. There's literally hundreds of videos on the South. People I follow, such as Rachel from Second Thoughts of the Mission and Honey Lou, for example, are big collectors of the South. Someday, perhaps I will be lucky and fortunate enough to have many more. I'm fortunate enough to have what I have and to have that love and understanding. So let's wrap it up. The last Syrian Shadows I have, Oracle, this one's out of print. I don't know if he's going to do any more or not, but yeah, this is my favorite Oracle of all time. Those decks were not in any order, but these are every deck that I will keep. I'll fight tooth and nail to the end and have to be pride in my hands. I don't care. So this deck is the Haunted Manor Oracle, the Shadow Work Oracle. This deck works for everything. This is a soul deck, just like the South. She works well with the South. I've been using her in a lot of my past weekly readings in the year. This is my #1 Oracle deck. Look at that back. Black and red. Hello, my two favorite colors. Look at that. Look at that red gilding. This deck is everything. It has an amazing keyword to it and keywords. The guidebook is amazing. I use them separately and together, conjunctively. They work with every deck. This she does. She gets along with every deck. I've not seen that. But she has her own distinctive personality, her own magic. It's like stepping into this would be one complete this deck. The color, the aestheticism, the energy, the feelings it evokes, the images reminds me a lot and is representative of Hades and his realm, like his inner palace, which I've visited, at least briefly, multiple times and occasions. But beautiful, lusty, beautiful, full of wisdom and multidimensional, aesthetic, but knowledge, whispering, something that is just beyond the reach, just like the occult, but something also, as much as it's hidden, something accessible to bringing access to the unknown. But it's also very relative and attainable. Not so much the deck so much, but overall. So this, if you like any of these images or keywords, or you're looking for this, continue to hunt. She is everything. Just like the South is everything. The South luckily is mass market. But yeah, so that's the 100 Mana Oracle. To check out any of my previous weekly readings, you will see it in action. And last, there's many more I would have, but this one's getting rather long. And yeah. So, last deck I'm doing is another Oracle. I do have other tarots, like I said, but this is where we're going to wrap her up. We're going to be approaching almost 50 minutes, and we're over 40 minutes now. This is The Cave of Sybil Oracle by Tierra May. Tierra May is the creatrix of the Ritual Tarot, one of my favorites. I was really debating of whether putting it on there. A beautiful collage deck full of wisdom and such magic. I use her magic rituals, guidance. She works well with others, but she's very complex. She's very occult and esoteric. She is kind of smart, someone that is, you kind of feel intimidated by, but you also respect. You learn so much with every sitting. She makes you think. Tierra May's deck, she definitely connects with her decks with and embodies her practice and evokes that. It's not a call-in deck. None of hers are call-in decks. Neither are Syrian Shadows. And neither is the Sabbath Breath. Not call-ins. I have some call-in decks, as they call them. These are not. And this oracle is not for everyone. This is much more of the darker chthonic underworld inclined. It's an oracle deck, as I mentioned. It does not have a real guidebook as saying this card means XYZ or interpretation. This is a book of incantations. Gorgeous little fun dark incantations. This is much more for the witch that likes to get her hands dirty, whether it be with dirt, earth, and roots, whether it is candles and flame and smoke, that works with eclipse energy, much like myself, which many witches don't, but I do. Likes to work with taboo, but also likes to work with relative and obtainable things such as nature and stones and plants. One that likes to work with emotions and alchemy, but the occult. One that likes forbidden desires and truth and will. And not afraid to be autonomy. This deck I use in conjunction with certain purposes. I only used it once because it's all I had to read for someone that I'm very close to and related to. It did work. I didn't think it would, but it it certainly did. So I'm suppose it could be read for others, but this is really a Tanya deck, a Lady Strange deck, one of my magician decks. As many of the ones you've seen there, but there's a specific reason. This deck should be used and not handled lightly. She speaks different messages. She's often confronting. She's deep, dark, feminine. Yeah. She's what lies beyond. She's what the high priestess is also hiding. Sort of sitting there calm, but she's the other side of the high priestess and the empress. And it has a little keyword on the back. This is an indie deck. I heard it's going out of print and she may not have any plans to do any. So if there is any, check out her store. And yeah, I would get it. If not, well, it's not your cup of tea. Oh well. I'm going to show you some of the images. There is some nudity in here. Sorry about the glare. So I wish the cardstock on this is thinner and lighter, unlike the Ritual Tarot. I wish this one was thicker or of the same cardstock and ilk, but it's not. But yeah. This was an investment deck. I got it when it first came out. I will not part with this one. This one works for me in my practice, in my magic, and my rituals in so many different ways. In my personal alchemy, and even in my recollection of elements having to do with my dreams, my past life, and my personal evolution. And that is not only as the witch and magician I am, but also the divine being I am, because we all hold divinity in ourselves. And should honor that and recognize that, but all the different aspects, including this. So you want a deck that actually embodies that side of being a woman and a witch, that feminine energies, even if you're a man. You want some slightly taboo. You want something shadowy and confronting. You want something that you can work all different aspects with, that will teach you and challenge you. This is one for you. You like to work with underworld entities and the infernals like I do? This is a deck for you. You want self-empowerment and you walk the left-hand path or darker inclined, this is for you. And with that being said, thank you for bearing with me through this crazy ass long video and rambles. I didn't think I was going to do this due to my imposter syndrome. You know what? Whatever the hell. This is my channel. I can go back and rewatch it. At least I love myself. And with that, if you do like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, as it helps my channel grow. Please let me know if any of these decks resonate with you or if you have them. And of course, stay strange.